Hello everyone, with the simulation nodes now it's possible to do the dynamic paint effects directly in the geometry nodes with these presets, and it provides a lot of controls. Most of the controls are based on the fields, so you can define a custom field to control these parameters. And it also has a lot of features like you can drip the paint under these forces, you can damp the paint, dry the paint, dissolve the paint, spread the paint, and along these features you can also transfer the paint from one object to another object if they are in contact with each other. You can also run these simulations in parallel on the same object for different brushes. First I explain these nodes, then I'll break down my project files. So this is the brush as like we have in the default dynamic paint of the Blender. So here you can define the brush based on the object location, based on it is a mesh or based on the curve, and according to that you can change these settings. This is the radius of this brush. So this is the main node. This is like a brush, and this is like the canvas if we compare with the default dynamic paint. So this is the start or end frame for the simulation. This section is for the brush, so you input the brush selection, and here you can randomly select this selection based on the probability, and then you can define the stroke per nth frame, means apply this selection on every nth frame. Means if we set to 5, then it's going to apply this selection on the 5th frame, then 10th frame, then 15th frame, and so on. So this is the force section, or you can call this as a drip section. So here you can select this option like paint is dynamic or still. So if I change this to still, it's going to make this paint still, and then paint will dry out. And if paint is dynamic, then it will move under this force, and this is the strength of the force. And here you can input any force direction to affect this paint. This is the drag force based on the normal of the polygons of the mesh. Means if normal of the polygon is pointing opposite to the direction of this force, then it's going to create a drag based on these parameters. This is the threshold for the velocity, means it's going to affect the velocity which is higher than this threshold. This section is for the paint setting. Here you can define the paint drop size, means higher the size it will produce a smooth paint, and if it is smaller it will give a fine detailed paint. Then you have this paint damp factor, it's going to damp the velocity of the wet paint. Then you can have this dryness factor, it's going to dry out the wet paint. Then this paint dissolve factor, it's going to dissolve the paint which is already dry. And then you have this paint spread factor, it's going to spread the wet paint, and it will continue until the paint get dry. And the last is the paint wet thickness. So let me go to the first frame. This wet paint thickness is basically the thickness of this wet paint region. Let me, if it flow down, then I can show you on this thickness. So you can see on this nose of this monkey. Let me slightly increase this. So this is the thickness of this wet paint. And the last is the maps for the wet paint and for the dry paint. You can also smooth these masks. And with this mask I am controlling the color for this wet region and for the dry region and for the rest of this object. So now I'll demonstrate a few of the effects with this noise and this damp and spread factor. Then I'll show you the project files. So let me change this to a plane so it is easy to see, and let's also select this cube instead of this empty and change this to a 1, and we want proximity based on surface as well as based on the volume. So now if I paint on this plane, see the whole layer of paint is moving down smoothly. However, if we plug this noise, let's make this dynamic noise and plug this into the paint damp factor, and let's repaint this plane. it's going to break this paint layer into a streaks based on this noise. And here we can also, if we plug this into this spread factor, let me disconnect this. So this is without spread. So we have this smooth layer of paint which is going down. So if we plug this noise into this paint spread factor, it's going to spread this paint, this wet paint, based on this noise, and will continue until this paint get dry. These are the settings are straightforward. Now I'll show you how to transfer a paint from one object to another object. So we have these cubes. Let me show you the original geometry. So we have these two cubes and one of which is moving. So another thing is, if the geometry is in motion, means it is animated, it's going to affect the paint dynamics. You will see in this example. So this is the geometry I plugged here into this canvas. So let's see this one, and you will see where they are in contact with each other. From that point, paint will transfer from this cube to the this lower cube which is rotating, and it is rotation will going to affect this paint dynamics. Paint is transferring from upper cube to the lower cube, and its motion is affected by the rotation of the cube. See, its path get curved in this direction. So this is how you can transfer the paint. So next is to run these simulation in parallel. So there is two simulation. One is for this black region, and this is for the red region. So I'm transferring it is maps to the first simulations and controlling these colors independently from different brushes. So there is two brush, one is controlling this black region and another is controlling this red region. And they generate two maps, and this is the shader for this, combine them together. So this is a project file of this head where I created the effect of like blood is going down. Let me increase the number of subdivisions because it is a bit heavy and I'm also recording. So I break the paint layer with this noise with the help of this damp factor, and it creates a really nice effect of these long streaks of blood that is going down. And this blood is slowly dry out like in this region. This is more wet. So this is the shader for this project. These presets are available on the Blender market and also available on my Patreon page. So from there you can download this. If you like this work, then please do support me and subscribe to my channel for more updates. Until next time, happy noding. Bye.